Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. Ordinarily, I have about 10 days off including weekends between Christmas and New Year's Eve. I'm doing the X block, which I'm usually riding about 8 of those days. Now that I'm AFib boy, I can only ride every other day at the most. So far in this new format X block, I've done 3 rides. The first ride was a 4-hour fat burning ride in which the first third of the course was done in paceline mode. The second and third rides were paceline rides. Each of them were 3 hours long. The first ride had 4 of us, mostly undulating course with some flat. We took about 15-second pulls each. The second one was undulating and climby course. There were 2 of us and we took 30-second pulls. Each of those rides I was drained at the end. It's interesting to note that the second ride that I did in paceline mode, I felt stronger because of the first ride I had done 2 days earlier. In a recent video of mine of an uphill time trial that I did, I had mentioned that I was going to take some heart rate graphs that I had gotten over on Strava over to my doctor who I was going to see the next day. The first readout that I showed him is on the screen. The heart rate is the third graph down. This was on my Phil Guyman uphill time trial pacing test, where I focused on staying around 270 watts. The second readout was of a couple weeks later, where I did my 280 watt test. Notice what I'll call the extra activity at the first 20% and about the last third of that graph. The third graph that I showed him that's on the screen is of the actual uphill time trial. You notice all that activity in the last half of the graph. The Phil Guyman method of uphill time trialing pretty much went out the door on this one. I was pegged the whole way. After the doctor and I each asked each other questions, this is what I gathered from what he believes is going on. The heart rate monitor is not an EKG machine. With EKG machines, you have about 6 or 8 probes that are stuck on you. There may be other things that are causing these readings. For example, it was a colder day, and on the way back to my car after the time trial, the heart rate monitor said I was doing about 240 beats per minute. It didn't feel like it was. I was on a descent, but I stopped anyway just to make sure. Took a reading by putting my fingers to my carotid, and it felt like it was about 70 or 80 beats per minute. At one point he did ask me if it felt like an irregular heartbeat, like an AFib heartbeat, but it never did. Actually, I was so pegged that I really couldn't feel a lot of things that I ordinarily feel when I'm on a ride. If I was having an irregular AFib type of beat pattern, I wouldn't be able to sustain my effort very long, certainly not more than 3 or 4 seconds. When you have that irregular heartbeat, then that means blood is not getting pumped efficiently through your heart. In fact, some of the blood just doesn't make it out. It gets pooled in some of the chambers of the heart. That means a lot less oxygen, and that means I'd be fatigued pretty darn quick. The graph you see on the screen now is of this ride. In fact, it's a 4-mile section of the undulating climb that I'm on. Definitely not pegged here. I stay around 80% or so. See those power spikes on the second graph? We were maintaining our pacelining even while we were climbing. My teammate Terry and I are pretty evenly matched with most aspects of our cycling. That's why we make excellent paceline partners. We shared the workload and maintained the effort all the way through. That's why we were drained at the end. I hope you got something out of this video. Remember, comment, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for that next video that's coming out. The Cycling Greek.